What's poppin'? Let's try and get this out of the way super duper super quick. We want to build a basic LLM chat app with Streamlit, but we don't want to use OpenAI. We want to use Google Cloud, CLI, Vertex. Why? Because sometimes it's cheaper. I think it's about 10 times cheaper. And if we could get it to work with Gemini, it would be free for 10 requests per minute, which for a chat app, 10 requests per minute is probably enough. So let's get to it. We are going to be using chat completions, which is provided by OpenAI, but they have blessed the community and the world for allowing other models, Hugging Face models and Vertex AI models to be integrated in there. So without further ado, let's get to it. So just some background, we are trying to convert most of my code into a Streamlit app, because apparently the CLIs are impossible to use and there's too many things on the GitHub that are all over the place. And unless you have created them yourself, you are very unaware of how to combine them together. And I honestly can't explain it to you because they're combined together in a kind of conglomerate that exists in its own way that's unexplainable. Okay, so the problem is that we have a while loop here, and these are a series of events taking some JavaScript terminology. So if you have a while loop, that is going to run until something happens. And that entire while loop is an event. And here, each message should be its own individual event. So there's a disconnect between the events that we want processed and the definition of an event Streamlit is using. For us, the event is the input. For LangGraph, the event is the input. Streamlit, the event is the while loop issue. So that is not what we're doing today. All we're doing today is we're just going to make this, I don't know what I'm pointing to, but make this OpenAI Gemini. So again, the ultimate goal is, I put this together and I guess I should do a video on this, but this is mostly a template from Lucidate, but I've added the LangChain. I want to add LangChain to it. LangGraph, ideally. I mentioned that while loop event issue, and there's a model issue as well for selecting models on the app and in LangChain. There's just a few issues here, so we're going to break it down super slow. You're going to come with me, and we are going to be using this to start the basic chat app, and we're just going to add Vertex AI to it. All right, first things first, you want to set up Vertex AI. This is just because to use the completions, we have to use the Gemini model. And the Gemini model with Vertex AI is just going to end up being less headaches, even though the initial setup is more headaches. I have a video on it. This guy, he makes good videos. There's comments. In the comments, there's a markdown that you can follow along. It's very easy to follow along. And in the repo is also up right now, and I'll put in the description. There's another quick markdown file that I've added. So you should definitely be able to get set up stuff. So set up gcloud first. So gcloud init. We want to, I did set up billing already. So to double check the billing is set up. I do already have a video on setting up gcloud. So if you haven't, that'll be in the description. Make sure you click that. But with setting up gcloud with OpenAI chat completions, if you're doing this for the first time, I had to run gcloud init twice, just to first initialize and then to initialize and select the correct project. So if you're getting some errors, you might want to run gcloud twice. I'd recommend running this in the Colab notebook, which I will also provide, and then copying it over to your local environment, running it again. You get the same errors, then you can go line by line in Colab and kind of pinpoint where these things come up. So if an error pops up, you can run the same thing here and recreate the process without having to do the whole file again. These links are going to be in the description, and really it's not, and it's also going to be in a write-up on the markdown, which will be in the GitHub. So just click on sign in to manage billing accounts, and it's going to take you to a page here. If you don't have any, you can click create account and it'll put you through this process to set up a new account. It's pretty simple once you get to the page, so it's not that big of a problem. And you can change once you go here. The default name is my billing account. And then if you want to rename that, you can go to this manage billing account section and you can rename it if you want, and you can add projects to your billing account. All right, so you can just change billing. Again, it's in your console.cloud.google.com/billing/projects. And then you find the project that you've created, you change billing, and you set the account to initialize the account for the first time. One, you can just switch and we're not going to do that. We're going to reinitialize the same because this reinitializing is going to reset for me. But it's not for you, but it is for me. Now I'm going to select my account. If you haven't signed in with your account, it's going to ask you to log in, and it'll open up a new window. It's straightforward. The Vertex AI, once you do the thing that you're supposed to do, Google's interfaces are always really good. Just there's a lot of options, so it's kind of complicated. That's really all it is. But the interface, their actual GUI stuff is very good. So then to select the project, I'm going to go with test November 2024, and I am set up and configured. And I forgot to mention that the init, before you do the init or after you do the init, gcloud auth application default login. You might not need to do this step, but it's going to create a key for you. You're gonna have to sign in, and it'll be the same process that you would have done with the init, but this is for the application default. It's two different things, but you're gonna have to do it. You might have to do it twice. Once you log in, it's going to give you information about your quota project. So there's the quota. There's about 3 different things. It is confusing, but it is, I hopefully set up this way so that you have a ton of control over what you can use and what other people can and can't use. I assume for a large enterprise project, there's going to be a lot of people that are dependent on this. Suppose so you want to have very fine control. So that's why it's like this, or they hate us. Okay, so in every project, all the services that you want to use, you have to allow its usage, which is useful because these projects might be distributed to people that should or should not be able to use certain services, potentially. So we have followed this link here, but actually if you just went to the project page, you could get here by searching for it in this drop down here, enabled APIs and services, and Vertex AI, and we're going to go ahead and show the app list. Vertex AI API. There's no, okay, you just click this cloud storage API, Dataplex API, Notebooks API, Dataflow API, Artifact Registry API, Data Catalog API, Compute Engine API, cool. Data Form API, Vision AI API. We want to go ahead and enable all of those just because they're cool to have. So we're going to go ahead and enable all the recommended apps. And you can do that by going to your Google Cloud page and clicking this drop down to go to the project that you want to use. And you're going to have to do that just once. And we get this little emoji or image section. I like it on the other side, and I have that in the other app. And as time goes on, we can customize this with HTML and all kinds of gobbledygook. It is on the GitHub though, so if you want to, you can look at some of that. It's using actual HTML, which is unsafe, and there's Streamlit alternatives, which makes sense. But there you go. This should have persistent memory. Let's just random numbers here that have no meaning or anything like that. And here we go. It's actually printing out the list. ChatGPT doesn't do that, but there's also some other issues with that because that's not what I asked it to do. So that's and then did I type the number 5? Problem with that is now we can't really prove that it has memory or if it's just reviewing the last chat. So we are kind of now let's say what was the first thing. Okay, cool. So I asked it what was the first thing I told you to do, and it actually output the exact thing that I told it to do. That's something that OpenAI really struggles with. Exactness in its memory. Of course, this context length is very short, but at the end of the day, it does work. Gemini, and this is Gemini Flash. Gemini's models are very good. And this is the wrap up here, so we're done after this. 5 minutes. Like I told you, these videos are going to be short and to the point. But Gemini's models, I promise you, they are cooking in the back. Because sometimes if you use them for long enough, they output stuff that is insane, and then it'll delete the thing that it outputted and say nothing. And it outputs in parallel. It'll do 3 at the same time. It is an extremely powerful model. They're cooking in the back. They're not telling us. They're just, I don't know what they're waiting for, but maybe they're trying to figure out how to integrate with search. The OpenAI search came out. It's okay. It's okay. The problem is that everything that these models work with are text. So even if we're taking an image, you're saying, oh, it can handle images. What it's doing with images is it's using a separate image model to convert the image into text. We have a way to convert images into a description, and then it takes the description and runs inference on the description. It's sequence to sequence at the end of the day. So we are pretty good at visualizing things. I look at something and I just somehow have some world model in my brain. Maybe that's what it is. But I have some way of navigating this world that's not data based. It's not individual pieces of data. It seems like. It seems like the way we navigate this world, our thoughts are not processing data. There's some kind of graph thing that's happening. The decisions that are made don't seem to be input output. It seems to be the fact that we're observing is the decision. So it seems maybe this is, this is all just hippie nonsense that we can't really prove. But it seems like these models are at a serious disadvantage compared to us when it comes to observing and making decisions on the things we observe. But who knows? All of that doesn't matter. This does work. It's on the GitHub. Go check it out. Peace.